Hello, everybody. This is Monica, Mata Gilliam, and today I am joined by...
Marlène Ricci. Hi, Monica. And hi,
Hello.
everyone.
Hi. So we have been having a conversation about shamanism and entities and what we're aware of. We are both Talk to the Entities certified facilitators, and Talk to the Entities is a specialty class of Access Consciousness, which is another specialty class in the world of consciousness and seeking and discovering what it is that we all know. And so today, Marlène and I were having such a, to me, interesting conversation that we decided that we would chat a little bit more with you all. So, Marlène, what is it that you are aware of with the world of entities? What a funny question.
What a wide question.
Right?
And this is really a question that it's the beginning of the exploration. Because with the conversation we had before we hit record, one of the things that that was really obvious to us is that, or at least for me, before Access, every time I went to any kind of practice or any kind of classes, I mean, before Access, I did Reiki, I did EMF balancing technique, I did so many other stuff, and also some angel reading and blah, blah, blah. So I learned a lot of technique and a lot of information, and I gathered a lot of information along the way. And every time that I followed that practice or that practice, it left me with this sense of unease, because it was always based on someone else's answer. It was always based on, if you feel that, then that means this. If you have that kind of idea or image or that means that. There was always someone else's giving me answers on what I was perceiving. And I did my best to follow the guidelines and to try to add the meaning to what I was perceiving. But sometimes I felt like, oh, something is off. Something is not exactly, it's not exactly there. It might be in that direction, but not exactly to the point. And it always left me with this feeling. And so this is what I really love about Access Consciousness. And most of all about Talk to the Entity is that you learn to ask questions to get to your own awareness instead of buying into someone else's answers, point of view, beliefs, system of reading the reality. And yes, you might get some information, but from there, it's up to you to really work around what you perceive and what is true for you.
Totally.
And what about you, Monica?
Oh, I love that, what you've been saying. I also have a history of trying all sorts of different modalities, different techniques, Reiki, and I'm an acupuncturist, and I studied a lot of shamanism, and pretty much anything that I could read that could assist me to kind of make sense of all of the sensations that I was living with. You know, the fact that I could pick up on things that weren't explainable to a lot of people at first made me uncomfortable when I was younger. And then I just dove into trying to get some more information about it. And I came across all of these different techniques. And what I found with some of the techniques is, yes, there were ways to do it right and ways to do it wrong, and you were supposed to only do it right. And a lot of it, included like that somehow I couldn't trust myself. If I did it wrong, I would be vulnerable to attack or to be broken down. And that to me is requires that I see myself as incapable in a certain way. And you know, for me, it's like, well, if I have the awareness that I have, it's like I I am an instrument. My body is an instrument that I can use. It makes all of these different sounds, or my awareness is an instrument, and I need to learn how to play my own instrument. And the instrument that I am is different than the instrument that anybody else is. And so when people would tell me, just like you were saying, Marlène, when people would say, when you have this sensation, it means that, I discovered that sometimes I never had that sensation they were talking about. I didn't see something. My back tingled, or I didn't hear something. I just had an image, you know, so it didn't always show up the ways that it was supposed to. And then, you know, for me, playing around with like, okay, I'm getting information directly into me, and it's actually, it is my gift to discover how to play with all of this information that I'm receiving. And I know that sometimes when I have like made a mistake or learned something the hard way, that's been an enormous gift to me. And so I've needed to like, I mean, just like a simple example would be, you know, you are aware of so many things, and sometimes, say, maybe you're like driving your car and you park it somewhere and you just have this little sense of like, I don't know if I should park it here. And then you do anyway, and later on there's a ticket, or it's gotten broken into, or something like that. I've had experiences like that where I've been aware of something and not quite used my awareness, and that taught me so much. Oh, I was aware of that. Oh, okay, I can use that. Cool. Then it becomes mine. It's not something that somebody told me to do. It's something that I discovered. And that is what I'm interested in sending out into the world, in offering or inviting people to, is knowing what you know. This is the tagline of Access Consciousness, empowering people to know that they know. Like, if we can all acknowledge that we are aware and begin to play with that awareness, not in like only the right way, which has a lot of judgment to it, but in a way that actually becomes something for us to use as the masters of us. That is something that I'm interested in general. And then especially when it comes into talking to entities or being aware of the subtle parts of the world. So that's kind of a roundabout answer, but that is what comes to me about, you know, being a Talk to the Entities facilitator and playing around with acknowledging people for what they're aware of without necessarily giving them a how-to, and you got to do it this way or it's wrong, and you got to figure out the way I'm aware of it, or else your awareness doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and one of the key information that I got from Access Consciousness is this idea or this knowing that we are all infinite beings.
Mm.
And at first, this idea of infinite being is just like, yeah, infinite being, yeah, new concept, blah, interesting. Oh yeah, or you put that on as a rhymes. Oh yes, now I am an infinite being. Like, and then I really started to really dive into like what is an infinite being, and how does an infinite being perceive the world and the reality, and yes, there is the body, but you are aware of so much more. And when Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, talked about the fact that we're infinite being, he says that as infinite being, we are infinite energy, infinite space, and infinite consciousness. And just right now, ask, what would it take to have the space of the infinite being I am? Can you perceive something different? And me, every time my body idea just is like, oh yeah, more space, please. And the thing is, if you are the space of the infinite being you are way bigger than your body. You are way bigger than the earth. You are way bigger than the universe we know, the palpable universe we know of. So what are you aware of as an infinite being that you cannot fathom, that your thinking mind cannot grasp, but you are aware of it anyway? And so when you start to play in that field, entities and other presence and other energy are just like, I would say, the color of the sky. And they are changing all the time. And sometimes you're in a tornado, sometimes it's a clear blue sky. And nothing is really uprooting you or putting you out of balance. It's just part of the dance. And you can play around on a tiny scale or on a bigger scale and see where you would like to go and how aware you are. And since I've really been playing in that space, yes, I've became aware of entities really around my body where I'm at the moment, but also like entities in different time, space, dimension, planets, that I'm like, sometimes I have vision. It feels like a Star Trek episodes. I don't have to watch TV. I'm like, is it entity? Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Entity awareness can look like that. All right. That's strange. And that's my way of perceiving it. So we all have ways of perceiving entities that are unique to us. Like I say, I can perceive entities on remote planet or time, space, or dimensions, but I can also really perceive and have a connection with some earth entities that are just such a gift to my body and the gift to the earth. And how does it get any better than that? So what are the capacity or the sensitivity or the awareness you have of entities that is unique to you?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. What can you step into today that acknowledges your awareness and allows it to be an exploration, a fun adventure for you? Like some, intergalactic image, or some sense of, the ease and the warmth of the kind, caring energies that are all around us in the earth. What a fun playland this life can be. And sometimes it can be other things too. And,
Yeah, but the thing is, for me, the hard time, I had a hard time. I mean, for a long time, I pretend that I wasn't aware of entities. For me, entities were a no subject until I started to play around a bit, and more so when I discovered Access, where we really start to talk and acknowledge our awareness of entities. And since then, how can I say, a lot of the symptoms that I had, like an underlying depression that I couldn't really get rid of, and a sensation of helplessness, and like this separation, or the feeling that I'm all alone, has disappeared as I chose to be aware of what I was aware of. So yes, most of the time the difficulty we create in our life is based on our unwillingness to really acknowledge what we are aware of.
I love that. Just recently, I've had to acknowledge how my awareness is, it's like having a different sense, like as though you one day realized that you could just open your eyes, and your eyes had been closed forever, and then all of a sudden you open your eyes and you can see colors and shapes, and all of a sudden there's this richness that is possible for you to enjoy and play with. And sometimes you might see something that is like, oh, like poop on the ground. Like, oh, I'm glad I see that. I'm going to walk around it. Or, you know, something that's like a dog that's very angry, and you can like, oh, I'm glad I see that. I'm going to walk around, you know. So sometimes when we open our eyes or allow ourselves to acknowledge the other senses that we have, there's this richness to it. And sometimes we can use that to step around the things that might not be so much fun for us, you know. So I'm really curious. Marlène and I are going to begin having some more conversations about who knows what we get to discover. And I know that I, in general, am interested in hearing what comes up for people as they begin to ask themselves questions like, what am I aware of? What are my capacities with my own awareness that I haven't been acknowledging and receiving? And if any of you have any questions about anything for us, please reach out.
Yes, feel free to contact us.
Yeah, we're going to be having more conversations. So ask us questions. Let us know what comes up for you, and what can we all contribute to one another as each of us is stepping into the adventure of our lives.
Yes, and this is really like, what if the greatest adventure is really discovering what you are aware of and what you are capable of?
Yeah.
That you never thought could be. So we'll share some more adventure that we've had, and we will create more adventure to share with you.
Yes.
Invite you to. So please feel free to contact us, and if you would like us to talk about some subject or some topics, or you have ideas that you would like to have more clarity on, feel free to reach out, and let's see where that leads us.
Yay. Thank you all so much, and thank you, Marlène. And how does it get even better than this?
Thank you, Monica. It was a pleasure.
Yay.
And what else is possible there?
Bye.